Welcome to the CoreWalking podcast, a step in the right direction. I'm Jonathan Fitzgordon.
And I'm Caitlin Fitzgordon.
And we are here with another episode, and it is part 2 of exercise tools. And I had really good feedback about my new co-host, Caitlin. So very excited about that and the future of the podcast. How are you today, Kate?
I'm doing great.
We just walked our dog a few minutes ago and had a little breakfast, and now even drinking some coffee, which I don't usually drink. And it was your birthday this week. How does it feel turning 39?
Ah, feels wonderful.
We had a nice day, right?
Had a great day. Yeah.
Got rid of me for the morning.
I had time to myself, went to the museum, did some tarot reading, went to the bookstore, and then had lovely lunch and dinner and rock band in the evening. It was great.
Yeah, it's great. We saw Wussy at the Beachland Tavern. That was really fun. All right, let's go. So last time we talked about exercise tools, we mostly focused on the feet. So I wanted to just kind of finish up with that. Any thoughts or comments to add before we dive in?
No, well, yes, I guess I feel like there's so many things to try and work with, and I wish I had a habit of doing more of them more consistently. But yeah, that's all good stuff.
You know, I have a kind of different approach, which is just buy everything,
I know.
check it out, see if you get use out of it. I never use everything forever, right? Like
Right.
the first thing we can talk about is the Bongo Fitter First board, the balance board. And again, if you're not watching this on video, we'll put a picture of that on the show notes of the episode. And the Fitter First balance board, I think it was $100. Like, I'm really into buying things under $100, and I can justify that in my mind. So I bought that, I don't know, probably 20 years ago, right? 15 years ago. I've had this a long, long time. It's the kind of thing I like, things that don't break, like the odds of this breaking. Like the way it works is there's a cylinder underneath the skateboard basically, and it's tapered so it rocks side front to back and side to side. I guess the elastic that holds the cylinder onto the board could break, but other than that, it's pretty indestructible. And when I first got that, I was watching a TV show while balancing. So I was doing like 23 to 25 minutes. And that comes from many years ago, talking to a cheerleader, or I was working with a mother of a cheerleader or something like that. But she said her coach told her to jump rope for the length of a sitcom. And I mean, that's pretty impressive, right? 23 minutes or if you add on commercials. But that was the approach I took, and I did that, and I built up to that, and I got pretty good at it, and I could do tricks and spin around, and I would practice stick handling with a hockey stick on it. And like there are amazing videos of hockey players. We talked last week about the Bosu, hockey players using the balance boards, hockey players using the Bosu. I'll see if I can find it. I saw a video of a girl. She was on a different version of this. She was on the Rollabola because there are a lot of different balance boards. She was juggling with one hand on the Rollabola and doing something else with her other hand.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like playing drums or something like that. It was really pretty extraordinary. So the balance board, I don't use it anymore. I break it out every once in a while. I show it to clients if they happen to come here. And it's like riding a bicycle. It's not a talent you lose. So I'm not throwing it out, but
Right.
it's not like I use it all the time anymore. But I do think it was a very worthwhile purchase, and I think it's great for other people to use. That's the thing is,
What do you think it's good for? Like, what does it help with? Obviously balance, but what else?
yeah, well, all in the title. That's the main thing. It's balance, but I use everything in multiple ways in that
Like, does it work your core? Does it work your hips? Like, what muscles does it impact?
I'd say if you're in good shape, it's not going to impact any muscles. But if you're not in good shape, it will definitely work your core. It'll work your hips a little bit because you're never still. But one of the things that I'm working is always is dominance, side to side dominance. Like anything I'm working with, I'm looking for that. So it's really easy. Like one of the things I do on the balance board is like slide to one side, tap it down, slide to the other side, tap it down. And one side was so much easier. So that would be the focus. And then even if I'm just balancing, and let's say I try to squat, and this goes for the Bosu and even on the floor, is am I going straight down or do I tend to go to my left
Right.
or to my right? So that's really the main thing I get out of that kind of work. And more than anything, in a way, it's about alleviating boredom. Like it's fun. It's a cool little thing to use. Have you ever tried it?
Yeah, yeah. I haven't done it in a long time, but I used to do it all the time. Can't believe you don't remember.
No, I know you so little. All right, so that's the fitter first. I think we covered all the other stuff. I don't know if I talked. Did we talk about the red cushion PAPS board?
No.
There is this standard toy. It is literally a balanced cushion. It is one side is just no texture, and the other side is stippled, like um, reflexology kind of thing. And it's just a phenomenal simple tool for I try to encourage people like if you happen to have a desk job and it involves like having phone calls, like you use the trigger as soon as the phone rings and you're gonna have a 10-minute call, balance on that. Get up from your desk and use that to balance.
Wait, you stand on it? You don't sit on it?
Yeah, you stand on that. Sit on it. What would you do sitting on it?
I don't know. The chiropractor I went to had it on all of the, not all of, but in the waiting room chairs to sit on.
Oh, that's so interesting.
I mean, unless they were meant to be stood on, I never
Take
asked.
it off the chair and stand. No, I don't see that as a seat cushion. If you Google balance cushion, that's what you get. Also, as an aside, I, hurt my butt 5 months ago now, like December 26th at the end of right after Christmas. I fell in an icy parking lot and wailed on my elbow and my butt, and I am still in pain. My elbow is now like 99.5% done. I am back to doing that. I saw a chiropractor for both of these things. But the butt thing, it manifests when I stand up from sitting. And what I've realized is soft is bad. I've realized this a long time ago because I think car seats are particularly bad. Soft is not good for sitting. And so if I sat on that, it would hurt. I am actually sitting, I'm not going to take it up, but I just went into my shop and cut down a piece of wood, and I'm now sitting on a piece of wood on my desk chair. And it doesn't hurt to get up. And I got that from, we went to a funeral last week. So we went to a play last month. We went to see Stephen Sondheim's company at a local, very local theater company, and they had terrible seats. And I was in pain the entire show. It was about 2 hours. I was suffering, shifting and moving, and just in so much pain. And they were these really soft seats. And then I'm trying to get all of my clients, practice what you preach to buy those beaded cabbie seats, and we don't have them
Yeah.
in our car, but we should. And they're incredible. Like they're hard and they alleviate back pain when driving. And I've just gotten enough people to buy them to know that they work. They're seriously effective. And I call them cabbie seats because like,
Why haven't we gotten them?
well,
I don't know if I'm gonna like it. I might not want it.
yeah, we don't suffer from driving, and I drive a lot, right? Like we drive our daughter back and forth. That's 7 hours in the car, and it beats me up like for the day, right? But it doesn't hurt my particularly. But other than
Right.
that, I think if we were in pain, but I call them cabbie seats because every cab in New York growing up had them, and all
Right.
cabbies had hemorrhoids, and that's what they would use. But that got me off of. Oh, so I went to this
You didn't.
funeral, and I had to
Oh,
sit on the hard pew, no pain, right? And that was about 90 minutes, right? It was a lot of getting up and getting down as the
but it didn't hurt to stand up.
did not hurt to stand up. So I came home and I went and got the board, and it's making it get better. In other words, the idea is when you're in pain, every time you feel the pain, you're re-injuring yourself, right? So like I'm at my desk and I am not someone who sits at my desk for hours. I get up and down endlessly, which means every time I would get up, I'd be in, and when it first happened, I had to brace myself to stand up,
Right.
right? Like it was really, really intense. So it has consistently been getting better and better. But then now, because I'm sitting, this is where I sit the most. I'm sitting on a hard wood and getting
Other than our couch.
well, I spend a lot of time on the couch,
Right.
which does hurt. Like the couch is not a good thing for me, and you hate our couch, so that's a whole nother conversation. Um, but now that every time I get up from sitting on the board and it doesn't hurt, that facilitates healing, right? Because every time it does hurt, I believe you're re-injuring yourself, like whatever you're doing. And that doesn't mean like with my elbow, right? I got to put, we hang all our pots in the kitchen. I got to put a pot away and
Right.
I've used my arm. So, and I would feel it and it would hurt. And I go, oh, one step forward, two steps back. But that's just part of healing. You got to accept that. And if you know it, it's fine. It just might take longer to heal. But it's crazy that these two injuries, 6 months, but it speaks
Right.
to the ability to heal. That's the other thing, right? Like sometimes healing just takes time. So
So can you go back to the red
yeah, so I just
squishy
wanted to
thing?
finish was like I would never use that as a seat cushion, though I am going to take away my board after we finish and I will sit on it and see if it makes any sense.
And if you're not sitting on it, what are you doing? You're standing on it?
Yeah, 1 foot balances. You
You
could
stand on one foot.
yeah, you could do two. There's nothing wrong with that. But
Okay.
I basically tell people use it for a 1 foot balance. The thing about it is, so
So it's just to work all the muscles of your feet and ankles because it's wobbly, it's unstable.
yeah, everything, feet, ankles, legs, hips, glutes, like it really does core, it gets everything involved. I think it's a really great thing, right? But that said, it was really interesting. Uh, you know, we started doing yoga before it was crazy popular, and then it got crazy popular. And when things get crazy popular, it went from being this obscure thing to a multi-billion-dollar business. So everyone got in the game of selling props, and most of them, so then you could like buy a yoga block for $2 and they were just garbage and they
Right.
get squishy, right? You would like go to use it for your hand in a standing pose and it would flatten by like 2 inches. Like, it was
Yeah.
so bad. Like my blocks are like the ancient Hugger Mugger or Gaian blocks that we bought 25 years ago. But I realized one day I have these incredibly bad blocks, but I said, let's do tree pose on these incredibly bad blocks. And all of a sudden,
Standing on it.
standing on it,
Yeah.
all of a sudden you go from tree pose, which is a hip opener and about the foot on to a degree, right? But when you're in it on the floor, your foot's pretty stable, right? But there are 4 layers of muscle in the feet. So if you do tree pose on one of those garbage blocks, all of a sudden it becomes all about your foot. Like it is wild to see the foot just start to go crazy. All of those muscles kick in. So that's a great thing for this
Got it.
red cushion. And so now I don't have any of those soft blocks, but I use blankets. We'll do tree on a blanket.
Hmm.
That's the same thing. Now, that being said, just like I said about the butt, I'm really not into soft surfaces. We used to take class with Jenny Capular in Soho in New York, who is in the pantheon of great yoga teachers for me. And it's not a very big pantheon, but she deserves her place in it. And I learned so much from her in asides, right? Like little things she would say. And one of them
Like
was
what?
thank you. One of them was someone was setting up for a headstand and they went to put a blanket under their head. And she said, you know, she was the best, but she could be a bit of a diva. And she was like, take that blanket away. And very simply, she said, look, the brain likes solid information. And when you put your head on the floor to go upside down, you want to give your brain and nervous system solid information. That was enough for me. Like, whether it was right or not. It was so deep. Now, the truth is, Iyengar, like, she would set people up on blankets for shoulder stand. That's not solid information. And I am not opposed to blankets for shoulder stand, but that comment made so much sense to me.
Well, and I feel like what she's talking about with she's like the head, literally the head needs a stable something to connect to if you're going upside down.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I feel like shoulder stand is such a different experience than headstand, obviously.
It is and it isn't in the sense that I won't teach either of them in public anymore.
Hmm.
Like where I used to teach headstands, we used to do tricks, and I would teach all these stupid
I mean, we would do headstand and shoulder stand in every class.
every class, and headstand to tripod headstand to like the five different variations, and
Right.
I had no trouble demonstrating them, and I had no trouble telling somebody to try them, and I no longer teach them because like if you're in a group, if I was in a private, I would teach it. I have one student who comes here and I teach them a lot of different things like that. But if you don't know the people in your room and you don't know
Right.
their spine and their neck, and you say, go put all your weight on your head, and if they don't have a core for it, same thing with shoulder stand, like you're putting the head and spine at a 90-degree angle. I do them. I love them. But when you don't know who you're asking to do it, I think they actually can be not so great. So I don't teach them anymore, though I do them both.
I kind of do, but maybe that's irresponsible.
I don't think
You
so.
know,
Yeah.
I like to have people experience, going upside down just because I think going upside down is such a great shift in perspective and it's a challenge. And I teach at a gym, so like they're all used to trying new things and trying hard things. So, but not everyone does it. It's fine.
No, but that's why I will still teach handstand and forearm stand anytime
Hmm.
because of it's not the same kind of danger.
Right. Not as much concern for the neck at all.
Yeah. We had a really sweet meeting at a yoga center and not in our neighborhood exactly, but local. And we're going to both start teaching there. Just really sweet because I haven't really taught in public in a really long time. And I subbed for this woman once, and we were talking about I taught forearm stand, and I was so excited to have a group of people to teach inversions to. So we did L shapes first, and then there was this one person who was seriously advanced, like she had a really deep practice, and she was able to do L-shaped forearm stand. And my idea of L-shape is when you're on hands and knees with your feet at the wall and you walk your feet up the wall, and it's a fierce pose. It's like harder than the actual inversion in a lot of ways, but it's the best thing for your back muscles. So she was able to nail that. And to me, and this is another Jenny Capular thing, she said basically, if you could do the L shape, it means you can do the inversion, right? If you have this
Yeah, of
strength
course.
in your body with the feet at the wall. And I was like, oh, what a great, simple understanding. But this same woman went to do her forearm stand and was going nowhere, right? Like nowhere. She would hop like 2 inches off the floor. And that was amazing to me. But that to me, I know I've seen this so many times over the years. That has nothing to do with ability, right? That was all about fear,
Right, that's all up here. Yeah.
all in the head.
All in the head. Yeah.
It's so great because you see people trying to go a forearm stand and a handstand that clearly have the ability to do it and they're not doing it. And I think in so many ways that's one of the best things about yoga is it is a place to confront your fear, right?
Absolutely.
It's like going back to kindergarten, right? We have mats and we take naps at the end of class, and
Right.
but it's a place to confront your fear in a really safe haven, hopefully. Uh,
Yes.
So there's an aside. Let's get back to tools. What else we got for the feet? Yoga toe. I have a collection of stuff here because we're going to talk mostly about the hands. But yoga toes. And now these aren't exercise tools. These are just to wear. I prefer, like with everything, I think this was the first company was literally called Yoga Toes. And now you can buy 9 million versions of them. I still think this actual company is the best of them. I'm not an affiliate. It's just that I do think they are the best. I describe them as they are pedicure separators times 10.
Yeah.
Makes sense? And
Yeah.
These you can microwave, you could freeze, and tell me
We've
if
had those for many years. They've lasted a long
yeah,
time.
like these. I have yours in here too. I have both sizes. They come in different sizes. So I actually have really good feet, and you have some foot issues. So the story I tell, and of course, maybe it's apocryphal and not true, um, but that I
I'll
really,
let you know.
yeah, exactly. I didn't have a lot of problem when I started wearing them, but when you started, like they were super painful, and you kind of had to take them off after 5 minutes. Is that true?
Yeah, maybe 10 or 15, but
Yeah,
yeah,
good. See, I like it when I'm
they
not
definitely hurt.
right. And then they didn't,
Correct.
right? So, like, that's the name of the game. And for so many things, it's the ability to stick with the pain for it, the pain to go away. So I
Right.
think everyone should use yoga toes or own yoga toes. Again, I never put these on anymore. But when we first got them, I mean, we both used them for a few months every single day.
Yeah.
And so you don't walk around in these. These are like for reading or watching TV, and they claim that they're going to cure bunions. I genuinely don't think they will, but I think they can arrest the progress of bunions because they straighten out that big toe. When that big toe starts moving in, that
Yeah.
these yoga toes will straighten that out. I don't think they get will cure bunions, but
It can alleviate the pain of them
I
sometimes.
absolutely. So I highly recommend yoga toes. And then there are these things, which is again, everything I say, this thing, I'm gonna put a picture up on the website. This is it's a toe stretcher that you can actually wear in your shoes. And
So you create that space while you're actually walking around and moving
that's
around.
exactly right. And I did not get a lot out of these. And they
Because
are
your feet are fine.
that is true. I mean, I have to take that into consideration. But I bought many variations on these. There was somebody who said, fix your feet in 30 days with our contraption. So I bought the contraption, again, under $100. Like, I think this is 29.99. I'm like, well, it's part of my business. I'm happy to do it.
Research. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, these you wear all day in your shoes, right? So that's another version of the toe stretcher, and it's just creating some separation. Any other foot things that you can think of?
Remember when I feel like you got this for your dad several years ago, like a foot massager that was like a rolly, well, they have those pieces of wood, but then there's also
Yeah.
some that has like multiple rolls of wood that you can kind of roll your feet on back and forth. What do you think about those?
I think they're great. Like I just used a tennis ball for that. But growing up, like my mother did yoga. We were not a hippie house by any stretch of the imagination, but we had something called the Ma roller. And it was the wooden thing. And I'm
Yeah.
sure they still make it, but it was you roll it up and down your spine. I think those are things that great. Like that's the whole point of these two episodes is toys and tools are great. They work. They're really good. Like the thing is, I had my tennis elbow and I was trying to work it out myself with my Theragun, the massage gun, which is a great exercise tool that we can talk about. I was getting nowhere with it. And then I went to the chiropractor, who I think is amazing. And he, in 3 sessions, opened up the tennis elbow is another name is adhesive capsulitis, and basically the um, ligaments and tendons in the elbow capsule just stiffen up and tighten. And he really worked it. Like he laughed because even the first session is like, "Wow, your body really likes this stuff," and it always has. Like
Yeah.
it really responds to that kind of therapy. And I mentioned, well, yeah, I've been working with the Theragun, and he just laughed, and he's like, "You could do that for decades, and it's not."
Because you can't get that precise with it.
Yeah, I'm not trained and I'm not precise, and he is working both hands to work the muscles, and it's very clear that the work I was doing was not getting me to the promised land, and he got me there really quick. And only gave me one exercise,
Hmm.
and that was it. So, but I'm a really big fan of his. He does really great work.
Yeah, I got to get back there. It's been way too long.
So I've been going every other week, and it'll be 2 months. And then the last one was I went 3 weeks, and this time I'm going in 3 weeks, and I feel like this is going to be the last session. But then I plan on going every couple of months
Yeah,
as like maintenance, and like I'm just too loose, right? My pelvis goes out really easily,
right.
And I haven't been to a chiropractor since we moved here. So I'm really excited about getting back to that kind of maintenance schedule of 5 times a year, maybe.
Yeah, especially with someone that's so good. And I think one of the reasons that I really appreciate his perspective is like they work with athletes. And I'm like, I want someone who's going to support me in continuing to move and encourage me to continue to move. And that was when I first went to him because I have hip pain and it's kind of come back. And I was just afraid of like someone saying like, yeah, you got to take it easy. And I was like, nope, keep doing what you're doing. He's like, you might have some arthritis, but keep doing what you're doing. I'm like, okay.
No, it's really great. So to give him, what is his last name? It's
Tim Keys.
Tim Keys, Neo Spine and Sport, if you happen to live in Cleveland. Yeah, so I think he's really good. And it's really interesting because he's really into what I'm doing. And so he's like, bring me cards. I'll refer people to you. And which is great. I'm all for that. But what's really interesting about what I do is I tend to help people who no one else is helping. My clients are the people, either you live in a part of the world where you don't have access to alternative healthcare. That's a lot of my clients. Or you've been to multiple doctors, you've even had surgeries, nothing's helping, and then I can show you how to walk and stand and exercise better to help. And what's
Right.
interesting is he says, I'll refer people, and I'm like, yeah, but you're actually helping them. They don't need
Right.
really don't need my help when he's doing as good a job as he's doing. Like I can compliment what he's doing, but most people don't think I'm going to learn to walk and stand just because it's good for me.
Exactly.
It's
Right.
really everyone should learn to walk and stand because it is good for you, but it's a really hard leap to make. But yeah,
Yeah.
I love those wooden foot rollers, back rollers, spine rollers. Like like I have a love-hate relationship with the foam roller, but we talked about that last time. Everything is good if you use them well and you like them. I listen to a lot of hockey podcasts, one in particular, and they talk about the foam roller. And it's like you go in the gym and these guys look like they're having sex with the foam roller,
Oh my gosh.
rolling out their inner thighs. But they all live on that thing. You know what I mean? Like it's
On
part
the foam roller.
of, yeah, their warm up starts with like 10 or 15 minutes of rolling before they're then in the gym for 2 hours. Like one kid was
And what's wrong with that? Like,
absolutely nothing. But my thing is, it's not curative. I feel like most people don't get to the point where, oh, I'm done with the foam roller, I'm fixed, right? It's something.
right. And that's your standard for whether something works, is if you don't need it anymore. Because why
Yeah,
couldn't it just be like it actually helps you feel good in the midst of like, especially for a hockey player, all the abuse they're putting their body through.
there's no question. You're totally right. My thinking, though, is like the classic thing to roll out is your IT band, right? Like people roll out their IT bands. And my thing is if you stand poorly, which is
Yeah.
thighs forward, leaning backwards, you're yanking on your IT band all the time. And then you foam roll it for 5 seconds worth of relief. If you actually change the way you stand, your IT
That'll make a bigger
really
difference.
won't need the relief. Like
Yeah,
I'm
gotcha.
not opposed at all, but I was about to say like they had hockey is different now, right? Where hockey used to after games go out and get drunk and sleep poorly, and they don't do that anymore,
Right,
right?
professional athletes are like very like they have all this they prioritize their sleep, their nutrition is dialed in. They like, I mean, I'm sure not all of them, but
But the younger ones, right? So basically, so there's this 20-year-old kid on the interview, and he was saying, "Yeah, we just play video games. Like we don't go to the bars." And it was funny because they were like, "Wait, it's not your roommates," and he's like, "No, no, all the younger players in their own homes were all on our games on a chat, which is really awesome, right?"
wait, what do you mean? Oh, they're playing with each other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're in the room playing different games even if they want, but they're all on a chat. It's just like
I
it's
mean, they're like 18 years old.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's like they're not even legal to go to the bars yet, right?
Right.
Like, so that's amazing. But this kid was going through his routine, right? He goes like, "Well, I get up at 6 and I stretch for like 30 or 45 minutes. Then I shower, I go to the gym, 90 minutes weights, and then I go skate 2 hours, and then I run home." It's like, oh my God. And if you want to be at that level athlete, there's no way of making it happen, right?
Of
Unless you
course.
put in that work. And then the veterans just laugh because they're like, yeah, we didn't do that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's amazing. All right, so let's move into the hands. So we talked last week about the tennis ball for the feet. Tennis ball for your hands is just as good, right? A
From
sponge
that show
ball.
last night.
Right, that's exactly what I thought about. We started watching a new TV show, and the guy in it was a stress case, and his therapist gave him a ball to squeeze for stress, and they used that, as a repeated thing in a motif in the show, which I thought was pretty good. So a tennis ball is not the best thing for this, but a sponge ball. I wonder if,
Something a little softer and smaller, you mean?
yeah. So
More
when I was
squishy?
growing up, we had sponge balls. Do you remember like punch ball, playing punch ball? And you
No, we didn't have punch ball and shaker
Yeah,
ice.
you have the Pensy
That's
Pinky.
such a Brooklyn thing. Yeah, we didn't have that.
So you didn't have a Pensy Pinky.
No.
That's our rubber ball. That was like the name of the company, the pink ball. I can't, it's so weird, you weird Midwesterners. And then you didn't play punch ball.
Did
Like,
not play punch
we,
ball.
did you play stick ball in the street?
No.
Oh my
We
God.
played baseball on a field.
Like, I guess we did too, but we played.
Tag and freeze tag and kickball. There's actually a big kickball tournament happening on Sunday with like people from my high school that are, geezers. So, like me, I mean, my age. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah,
Yeah.
39.
Uh, so I
For the
grew up.
18th time.
People probably don't know why 39 would be the number that I use, but I grew up with Jack Benny. And I used to watch reruns of the Jack Benny show with my grandmother. And he never aged past 39. That was his stuff.
Right.
It was 39.
Funny.
And you're going to the kickball thing, right?
Yeah, I plan to.
It's super fun. So wait,
But I
when?
have a kickball story.
Oh, great.
In third grade on the playground at Lomond School, I had this really cute skirt on that snapped up the front. And I went to kick the ball and I kicked it as hard as I could, and my entire skirt went and unsnapped.
Oh my God.
And all the girls immediately surrounded me and, protected me while I snapped it back up.
That is so great.
So I
Um,
won't wear a snap up skirt to the kickball game on
yeah,
Sunday.
excellent. And you're a good athlete. So you were, right? You played a lot of softball growing up.
I played softball, I played volleyball, I played field hockey. I did a lot.
So great. Yeah, I grew up in Brooklyn. We played punch ball and stick ball, played a lot of football in the winter. We definitely played a lot of tag and things like that. But
I feel like I played catch a lot, like with my dad and my brother, whether it was baseball or football, and like running bases, and you know, that was a thing.
yeah, my father couldn't be arsed to play catch with us, but my brother and I did it. Definitely played a lot of hockey in the driveway and a lot of catch. And it's funny because my brother was not very kind to me as a kid, and I was an obnoxious younger brother. But where we bonded was in sports, and it's still like a thing for us to bond over. But that was a big thing for me growing up. That was like the only time he was kind to me,
Mm.
and wasn't even that kind then. He,
Right? I'm picturing him like, you two playing hockey together and him demolishing you.
oh, he literally put a hockey stick in my eye once.
Yeah.
Like literally just poked me in the eye with the stick. Like what the hell? Like I had to wear a patch. But I love my brother. Yeah, he was such a nut. He had a little too much energy for his youth. All right, so hand stuff. You ready?
Yeah.
Here is the simplest hand tool there is. And these are great things for the desk. Rubber bands. Just have a rubber band by your desk and spread it apart.
I have that one that actually has finger holes.
Yeah, I have a variation here too.
All right, I can't find it.
Right, that's how often you use it. Uh,
I used to have it on my desk. I'm just trying to. Oh, that's it.
yeah,
I mean,
so this
I don't
is
think mine is that
I
big.
bought this, $10. It's 3 levels, right? So this is the hardest one, and it fits around all 5 fingers. And so it came in a pack of three. The dog quickly ate one of them, and then you have one, and then I have this one. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's fine. But like, what is? the difference between that and a rubber band. So you don't need to spend the money, but it's totally fine. But you put a
To
rubber
get a
band
good
around
rubber
your
band.
fingers and you spread your hands open. And if that's easy, add a second rubber band. And if
Right.
you shop for food, you have rubber bands, right? So adding a second rubber band makes it more difficult. Then add a third rubber band. So
Oof.
you create your tension and like when we buy broccoli, they're really small rubber bands. Those are really hard to work. So the tennis ball on your desk for your squeezing your hand, these rubber bands or these other things for the hands are so simple and great. And grip strength is something of an obsession of mine. Like you really we're on our feet. We use our feet. Doesn't mean you have good feet or you use your feet well, but it's really easy to go through life without using your hands a lot. And like I'm sitting here with my hand on my mouse the entire time. Like as we're chatting, I'm not using my mouse. And yet I have my hand on my mouse. Like what for, right? But it's in this weird position that's just not good.
Right, because I mean, we use our hands all the time now with our phones, but we don't, that doesn't build strength. And so you're talking about using tools that actually like strengthen the muscles of the hands, whether it's going out or squeezing in
Correct. And it's the opposite being that what the way we do use our hands are bad for our hands.
with the phone.
Yeah, we had a
Right,
very
like our son was complaining
dude.
about his pain, and we're like, dude, it's the phone. He's like, really?
That was really brilliant. Like our kids are, we have two kids. They're 17 and 19, and they're just the cutest things ever. And it's really fascinating to watch a 17 or 19-year-old brain try to, maneuver through life. So, and my son is really active. Plays three sports. Like his summer, you think you get the summer off and you can sleep, and he needs sleep, but he has to go, he runs cross country. So he has to run either 6 or 7 in the morning, and then he has hockey practice at night, and he has to lift weights, and he has a job, right? So we're sitting on the couch, and he says, and he has his phone in his hand, and
It's
he,
at dinner, my birthday dinner.
oh, it wasn't in the restaurant?
Yeah,
Oh, I thought it was in the couch. That's really
yeah,
fun. I love memory. That's so
yeah.
I literally see it in my head. The three of us were sitting on the couch. So he's
Funny.
talking about, he goes, yeah, I have this pain in my thumb. And you had said it. You go, it's from your phone. And he's like, no way. Why would that be? And he literally starts doing the phone movements with it. He goes, oh, you're right. So that is a good reason. Like, look, we're not going to stop using our phones. I use my phone. And like,
Yeah.
it's crazy. Like when I use my Kindle, I hold my Kindle in a really weird way where my pinky finger is on the bottom supporting the Kindle. So it's bent and it gets tired.
Yeah.
But I can't hold the Kindle and I have big hands. I can't hold the Kindle in just my left hand. If I switch to my right, for whatever reason, I can hold the Kindle in my 5 fingers without putting my pinky under. But in
Interesting.
my left, I put the pinky under, and it's not a great repetitive movement. So that's what I was saying to my son. I'm like, it's repetitive stress. He's like, but what does that mean? I'm like, repetitive stress. Not a big leap to make. So that was so again, a lot of these things are to counterman. I put my hand back on my mouse. Like I don't need to have my hand on my mouse here when we're chatting.
Funny.
So it is a lot of these things are to counter the negative things we do in general. Like another hand thing that's not an exercise tool is just cooking, right? Like
Right.
I make dinner every day, usually 5 days a week or whatever. And for me, like I said earlier, my pots are all hanging. I use cast iron often, which is really heavy. So every time I'm using a cast iron pan, it's working my grip strength.
Right.
I don't do this. Like my kitchen is insanely ergonomic. I'm always trying to get things hanging within arm's reach so I don't
Okay.
have to move. I have to move as little as I can. But I'm actually encouraging clients to do the opposite. Take your heaviest things and put them in a cabinet on the floor so that if you need them, you have to bend down, you have to squat, you have to pick them up, you have to stand back up, and it's exercise. And the truth is, I exercise a lot. So I'm not looking to get that from my cooking, but
Right.
the act of chopping vegetables, the act of lifting heavy pans, like that is just great handwork. So for me, cooking is as much meditation as anything else. Get me in the kitchen, get some tunes going. I don't drink wine, but that would be the thing for a lot of people. It just makes me so freaking happy. So that's aside from the benefits I get from, the handwork. But I
Yeah.
even find, doing dishes is not the worst thing in the world. And I used to hate doing dishes. And
Yeah.
now I'm like, yeah,
Well, there's something I think, and you don't have ADD, but I think I have those tendencies, and there's something that's so satisfying about the completion of a task, the completion of a meal, the completion of the dishes, like to go through a process that has a beginning and an end, and you get the dopamine from that.
totally.
Very satisfying.
Now, when I talk to my son about this stuff, like he doesn't cook, but hopefully he will eventually. And I'm always like, I am really methodical and I am seriously on about clean as you go. And it's like
Yeah.
I can say you have no idea. Like I don't make elaborate dinners, but I'm usually making two or three things that involve lots of pots and lots of prep
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And I say to him, like, my goal is that every single meal we sit down, the only thing left to clean is the dishes and maybe a pan or two. But that
Right.
I am obsessively cleaning every bowl as soon as I use it so that the ending cleanup is not nearly as bad. Because I used to just destroy the kitchen,
Yeah.
so leave it for you to clean up
Right.
when our marriage had a different balance of power. Before
Balance
you,
of power.
well, yeah, the story I tell, and again, it could be apocryphal, but Ida, our daughter, was born, and I'm inherently lazy. Like I don't want to do anything. I just want to sit and read and watch movies. And our daughter was born, and you were doing everything. And I'd make these crazy elaborate dinners and leave the whole kitchen for you to clean. And you were doing the laundry and taking care of our daughter, which is a lot of work. And I think she was like 6 months old, and you looked at me and you were like, "You suck. You're not doing anything. You're not helping me." And to my credit, I heard you, right? And I feel that was a huge moment in my life where it all changed. And I said, "Oh, you're right. I suck. I am taking advantage. You're a very nice person, right? This is what I always say to the kids. You are the nicest person I have ever met."
Thank you.
And
No, that's not true, but
it's pretty kind of true. And at least from my perspective. And the thing is, as someone I am a nice person, but I'm not the nicest person. It's so easy to take advantage of nice people. And you
right.
don't complain a lot. And you get angry and you'll rage inside, but you don't complain a lot. But in that moment, I was like, okay. And I
Yeah.
started cleaning up after dinner because why do you have to do it? I'm happy to clean. I'm happy to cook. I should be happy to clean. And I started folding the laundry and I just stepped up my game. And it was totally by choice because you would have put up with it if I was really, if I wanted to
Well,
be
maybe.
baby, right? If I wanted to
You
be
never know.
this is
We'll
totally
have to
true.
have a whole podcast on that stuff because
Yeah,
it's
no, I definitely want to have podcasts about marriage and
yeah.
the joy, the beauty and trouble of what marriage
The
entails.
joy and the pain.
But that
Um,
was that was a huge
but
moment for me.
for sure. And I it there's a desire, I think, and again, we can talk more about this, but for people to want to do it all and to want to be able to do it all. And it's like, then you just hit a point where like, I can't possibly just, or, just because you can doesn't mean you have to, is something that I talked about in therapy, not long ago. Not about this particular topic with you, but yeah, I mean, it's good to speak up and ask for what you need, and it's really good to respond and step up. So thank you.
Yeah, it's interesting. One other thing that you have taught me is appreciation. Not that I don't have it, but you are so appreciative of what I do, and like you acknowledge it verbally a lot,
Yes.
you know. And I was saying to Reggie about cleaning, this is another conversation. It's like, look, you work really hard. And it's not that I don't work hard, but I work a different kind of hard. and that I know if you, let's say you go to work after dinner and there's a kitchen of dirty dishes, I get incredible joy from cleaning the kitchen because I know when you come down from your office and see the clean kitchen, you will genuinely appreciate that, right? So, and I actually,
100%.
yeah, and I actually enjoy the act of making you happy, right? Like I know as I'm clean, and then I'll say to him, like, look, I'm on my way to bed, right? You're already asleep. I'm on my way to bed, and there's stuff in the kitchen to clean. Do I want to clean it? No. But then you weigh the scales and you go, okay, but if I do clean it, my darling wife is going to wake up and see a clean kitchen, which is going to be a much better start to the day than walking into the kitchen. And so that's this weird thing of how do you think about others? Which is another thing I learned from you. Because it's not that I'm the most selfish person, but it's really easy to go through life and not think about others all the time. So,
Right.
all right, let's see. So, rubber bands, these hand thingies. We talked last week about the grip strength trainer, which I love.
Love that thing. Yeah.
Um, Here are a couple of things that I really love. These are called Baodong balls or Chinese meditation balls. So I have in my palm these two silver balls, and you roll them around your hands and then you roll them in both directions. And I'm doing them on my left hand, which I'm really have a lot of facility because I'm a lefty and I switch to my right. And it's automatically, they still work, but it's not nearly as dexterous. And then
Right.
going the other way, I can do it, but it's not, that's going pretty well. And I actually don't have things in the middle of mine, but you can get them where they sing. They have little set chimes inside, and as you do it, they make a little singing noise. And then if you get really good, like I can't do it, you turn your hand upside down to spin it around and then you drop it.
Wow.
That poor dog just got really scared.
Oh.
These also come in sizes. And the thing is, like in New York, you just go to Chinatown and they're for sale in every come here, girl, you can just stay here. You go to Chinatown, they're for sale in every single store. But you can also get them
Right.
online. So those are Baodong balls and or Chinese meditation bowls. I think those are really a great little toy to have. Then there's this weird thing that I don't know that I love. So this is a centrifugal orb. This particular one is gyro ball. Like I do like spending money, but I also get really annoyed. Like I was talking about the grip trainer last week, where this one cost me $6 and you can literally spend 50, right? So it's
And that thing is amazing.
it's
You don't need it any better than that.
you do not I can't imagine what would make it better.
Right.
That's the thing, right? So this thing you could literally spend $50 on, and I just do my research and I find one that's cheap. This one was like 15 and it doesn't won't break, right? So this is not it's you have to do it by hand, right? You it's a ball, a plastic out covering, and then the ball is inside and it has these arrows and you have to wind it up. So it's actually thumb work, right? You
Yeah.
have to wind it up with your thumb and you have to wind it, and it's going to take you like 30 seconds or more to wind it to bring tension to the ball. And you wind it till you can't. So I'll just keep talking until I wind it. You wind
Right.
it until you can't push anymore,
I
right?
mean, I found when I did that, definitely worked my forearms a lot. Not
So
the thumb part, not this part, the next thing you're going to show.
yeah, so I actually think this works the thumbs, but I totally get that that's relative. Um, it's taking me longer than I wanted to, but that's a good exercise, right? I can
Yeah.
feel now the tension is starting. So the person who turned me on to this is a musician, piano and guitar, and I was talking about it on a group call, and I will admit that I was kind of mocking it. I was like, yeah, it doesn't do very much for me. And she was saying how it has definitively helped her dexterity and especially with her instruments. So I can't
That's
knock that.
cool.
So here we go. Finally. Oh my God. That was like 40 seconds or something. So now I'm at the point where I cannot roll it anymore. and then it has a little strap for your hand if you want, but you don't really need that. And you have to keep it at tension, and then you put it into your hand. Oh, you see,
Oh no.
oh my God.
Uh,
Well, I'm not doing it again. And then you put it in your hand. Let's see how far. Oh, geez. No, here it is. It's back. I shouldn't have put the strap on. So you have it at full tension and you hold it in your hand, and then you have to keep it spinning, right? You can roll your wrist around, you can turn it upside down, but you have to keep it spinning. And I can totally feel it. I feel it in my
yeah.
forearm right now. So, I can just mock things, and it's not smart to mock. But so, yeah, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting to try it, but I didn't really ever want to do it again. I was like, all right, that's a neat toy. So what's it? So I guess what you just said, it's dexterity, like just strengthening all those muscles through your arm will help with the finger work of whatever instrument you're doing.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So here's the thing. Who needs these things?
Oh, I found
Right?
one. I
What'd you
found
find?
I found a toy on
Oh, great.
my desk.
All right,
You
wait.
have,
We'll come back to that in a second.
okay.
So yeah, who needs these things? In the course of my day, I bike, which is hands. It actually is not great for my hands. I end up stretching while I'm biking, but I cook, so hands.
Yeah.
Yesterday we bought these Adirondack chairs that I had to put together. So again, hands. It's a lot of screwing, a lot of drilling. I am, and then I'm doing yoga. Like I am using my hands all the time. So
Yes.
I don't need these toys. But you're
Okay.
70 and you have an office job and you don't ever work outdoors, you don't do a lot, then you need these things,
Right.
right? Because you need grip strength, you need dexterity. And as we age, those are the things that go first. And just imagine when your hands don't work well, and think about how many people have arthritic hands. When your hands don't work well, your quality of life suffers and suffers terribly. And your ability to age successfully will change. So I have all these toys. I don't particularly need them, but they are really, really good for me and better for people who aren't as active and using their hands that way in general.
Right. And I would also add that it's like a lot of people as they get older start using tools like a grabber thing to reach things on a tall shelf or like a chair that assists them out of the chair or they no longer get up and down from the floor. And it's like the less you do it, the less your mobility is going to be, the less strength you'll have. So, yeah, I can see both using like adding tools, but also like really never like adding these strengthening tools, but then never adding those other tools that like make your life easier until you really, really need it.
I love that. I talk about they make these things for opening jars,
Right,
a rubber mat or an under counter thing. And I'm like, look, not only do I not want that thing, but I want to be the guy who you hand the jar to
right.
for
I
as
want to
long as
open
I
the
can,
jars.
right? Like, and that's good hard work.
Yeah.
Also, it tells you as you're getting weaker, but I am totally living in fear of that moment where I can't open a jar,
Right,
you
right,
know?
exactly.
But I think that's a great observation about our world exists to make things easier for people.
Right,
And that's not necessarily a positive. Like the classic thing about how people get older and they move from their three-story house with multiple staircases to a ranch home with no stairs. And I'm like,
right,
no, you need to
right.
walk stairs, especially if you've lived in that house for 30 years and that's a lot of your exercise is going up and down stairs. Like you can't take that away. And I
Yeah.
have a slide that I use in a number of my workshops. When you think it's time to slow down, it's time to speed up.
Hmm.
No, there is never a time to slow down, which doesn't mean work yourself to death,
Right.
right? Because you want to not, you don't work, but you want to bike and hike and move and do. And it's really depressing when you can't, but you have to keep going and keep doing and be as active as humanly possible.
For sure.
Look at
That's
that.
why we're going to start pickleball.
Totally. Okay,
Can't wait.
Reggie sent me the link. I have to buy those rackets.
Yeah.
So I am not a group person. I am really into solitary activities like hiking. I love hiking with you, but I really like hiking by myself. I
Yes.
bike by myself. I love biking with you, but I have to say I like biking by myself. And even though yoga isn't a group class, if we go to class, it's still your own thing. I just prefer that. Wait, but why did I bring that up?
I don't know.
I'm sure
Getting
there's,
older, pickleball.
oh, so I I listen to a lot of podcasts and I have a workshop on the brain coming up. So I've been reading about the brain and listening to podcasts about the brain. And the brain is not my area of expertise, though I love how much, like, I listened to this podcast yesterday and I was able to go, oh, I knew everything she was talking about. Like, I was able to check. It was a really good feeling. Because, you want to learn something, it takes a couple of years, but I've gotten there. Wait, I just spaced out again. What?
The brain working
Oh,
pickleball,
pickleball. Thank you so much. See, getting
racket sports, I'm guessing.
yes, exactly. Getting old is really bad. So on one of these podcasts, the guy was saying how, look, you want to move and it's really good to play sports and do stuff. But all studies have shown that the people who live the longest are people who play racket sports. So I thought that was a really cool thing. And his observation and the studies have shown that it's the combination of movement with hand-to-eye coordination,
Hmm.
right? That it's whether
Right.
it's ping pong, tennis, our new favorite sport, pickleball, that I have not played yet. But that idea that racket sports keep you young because of the combination of those things, I think is so super cool.
Yeah.
So we're going to start playing pickleball. So,
Very cool.
yeah, I'm very excited about that.
So I have that one other tool that I wanted to
Yeah,
show.
yeah, totally.
So our daughter gave me this a few years ago, and it's just a little stone that has like a smooth side. Oh, it's just a piece of clay that's unmolded. You can see their fingerprints, but
Oh,
it's
great.
a worry stone. So this is not an exercise thing. This is more of a mental thing, a soothing thing, but it's so sweet.
No, I
And
love that.
yeah,
When it comes more things when it comes to hand, because I'm like remembering my when I do the hand and wrist workshop, I talk about using your hand. Get a Go buy a thing of clay and
right.
play with clay and make stuff with clay and use your hands. Find something to do that's creative and play.
Craft.
Yeah,
So
exactly. All of
point,
those things are just really good for us to do. And there are ways to keep busy that don't involve just, look, again, I like sitting on the couch watching movies, right? But there are plenty of ways to keep busy while using your body as well.
yeah, for sure.
That's great. Right. Do I have anything else on my I do have one other thing I will break out. I really don't like this thing at all.
Fab roller?
Ab roller.
Why
Um,
not?
because it's hard. Um,
Oh,
it's one of these things that I actually don't get a ton out of it, but when I hit it and I'm doing it right, I'm like, oh my God, that is hard. But I find I can do it and not feel that I'm working. But then when I hit it and I'm working, it's really hard. And when like Reggie has done it, he's like, oh my God, it's really hard. And he is strong. So
can
again,
he like there are people at the gym who can go flat out with their arms straight out and come back up.
yeah, so that's why it's not that hard for me because I'm not doing that. So
Right.
that's an
Well, I
incredible,
couldn't if I went flat out, I wouldn't be able to come back. I would just collapse on the
that's
floor.
it. That's exactly right. Plus, it's actually really easy to cheat. You're right. There are ways of doing it where you're using other things other than your abs to mobilize. But
Yeah.
again, super cheap, probably under $20. Never break. I don't use it a ton. I never even used it a ton. I got it for Reggie. I never even used it a ton when I got it, and I don't think I'm weak in my core at all. I don't think that's my story. It used to be my story, but it isn't anymore. But a simple, really great tool that one way to look at it is if you need to do 5 minutes of sit-ups, you could do, or planks or whatever, you can get the work done in 1 minute with a good toy,
Oh,
right?
interesting.
Yeah, with a good tool, you're gonna just make everything so much more efficient.
You can also do a variation on that on the physio ball, which is a little easier.
Wait,
But
say that again?
you can do the rolling like but on a ball instead of using that on like a physio ball. Um,
Oh,
and it's not as hard, which you could like that's like your modification for that is on the ball to build the strength and then move down to that thing. That's what we
that's
do at the
interesting.
gym.
That's
At
interesting.
the gym, they also, and I'm curious what you think about this, they always say when you're using that ab roller and when you set up, you want to like really tuck your chin and keep your back rounded, which is interesting. Like I assume it's to get to the rectus, but
That's exactly it.
yeah.
The minute you tuck your chin, you're engaging your rectus. So like that's a classic trick sort of usage thing, but
Yeah.
it works. If
Yeah.
you're on the floor like this, there are different theories, but a lot of people do all their ab work with a like a blanket or a towel under their head. So you're not tucking your
Interesting.
chin, right?
But
But
just to give it a little bit more,
you're
yeah.
elevating the head to give a little help to the rectus. And then we can finish with the one other thing that I really love, which is just the basic exercise ball. So
Okay.
I'm sitting in a desk chair at the moment. I have gone through many desk chairs, and I hate desk chairs similarly because they shouldn't be comfortable. You don't want to sit in them. You should want to get out of them. So I've gone through using the crappiest IKEA piece of plastic chair to the $1,000 Herman Miller Aeron chair that is now sitting in our basement, covered in dust. But I also have used the ball for a chair, and
Yeah.
that to me is the best thing. But it's so much of this comes to money in weird ways. But I'm about 200 pounds, and I need a ball if I want my desk chair to be a ball. I need a ball that's way bigger than this one, right? This is like a 55, I think. So I need like an 85 to get to the right height. And every time I buy them, they deflate. And whether that's like the cats scratching them or my big butt, like just ruining them from sitting on them. So I stopped buying them over and over again. So I use this for back bending.
Right.
I just do wheel over the ball. It's like the greatest feeling. Like it's just
Um,
like, I do it for like 5 breaths. It's so sweet. So
yeah.
I always have the ball here. And if I'm not sitting on it, it doesn't deflate. This thing it won't go bad. But I don't like the ball chair, which is a big
Yeah.
plastic thing with wheels that you can sit into because that defeats the purpose of the ball for me in certain ways. Like when you're using the big, huge ball as a chair, you are always moving. You're constantly going in and out, back and
Right.
forth. Like it is really good for you in that context.
They make like really expensive like chairs like the swapper or something that gives you the quality of the ball, but in a more stable chair. And my friend had one of those and I loved it, but it's like $1,000 chair. I don't think we need to spend $1,000 on a chair. I'd rather
No,
buy a new couch.
yes, and we're not doing that either.
I
But
know.
no, we could probably do an episode on chairs. I am fascinated by the amount of different chairs there are out there.
Mhm.
Like my son has a gaming chair. Man, that thing is comfortable. If I
Yeah,
go up to his room and I sit in it, it's got a lumbar support, it's got a cervical support. It's not soft, it's hard cushion.
right.
That is real. I would think about having that as a desk chair. Like it's such a cool chair. So they make some really wacky chairs. So I will put that on the list because I think chairs are an interesting thing to talk
I want
about.
to get one of those ergonomic chairs where you're on your knees, on your shins.
Where you're on your shins.
Yeah, they were like from the 70s
No,
where
those are terrible.
I know I want to try one. I think they look really comfortable.
So it's funny, we had one growing up. It's funny how we didn't live in a hippie house, but we
She
had,
was kind of a hippie. Like,
it's weird.
with her food stuff. She always made delicious food. She made you
It's
spinach
true.
pasta.
I hated my mother for cooking fresh vegetables. I was like, I want pizza and McDonald's like my friends who are divorced, right? I hate you for,
The divorced
yeah,
friends.
I
We
hate you
didn't
for
have
making
McDonald's and pizza.
broccoli. Well, Brooklyn, pizza and all I want to do is go to Todd Ellentuck's house because
Yeah.
Todd Ellentuck had every Drake's cake
Right.
available, both in the fridge and on the counter.
Oh my
And I
God.
would just go there and pound stuff. And he would look at me with his jaw hanging open. I'm like, I don't have this stuff at my house. I would eat like 10 devil dogs.
Right. So your mom was kind of a hippie.
So she was kind of hippie, but it was our cousin that gave us this chair. So
Yeah.
it's a Danish chair. It's age old, and you sit on it. And so we'll save it. Let's definitely do a chair episode.
Okay.
But I think that chair is terrible. Because it's good to have your feet on the earth, and that
Yeah.
leaves you suspended in space.
I
All right,
understand.
so I think that wraps up our episode, our second part of exercise tools, and it's been really lovely chatting with you this morning, Caitlin.
You too, Jonathan, as always.
And if you would like to support this podcast, the best and easiest way for you to do that would be to follow us on whatever platform you listen, whether it's Apple, Spotify, but to give us a follow and to give us a review. That would be a really awesome thing. We like good reviews, but we'll take bad reviews as well. And any kind of feedback, you can get in touch with me through my website at CoreWalking.com. We'd love to hear from you, and we take requests if you have things you want us to talk about. And again, now with Caitlin on board, I think that our topic pool will expand. We'll stick with a lot of pain relief and body stuff, but we can throw in the difficulties of marriage as well if we want. All right, have a great
Exactly.
day, Caitlin. Have a great day, everybody.
All right. Bye.
Take care.